Hey, welcome my friends. Just had a moment of panic where I couldn't actually work out how to go live on my Facebook group because Facebook, in their infinite wisdom and desire to keep changing things, had changed things. And now, rather than there being a little thing about what's on your mind and, to create a post and you click on that and you go down and you can select live video, there's a little blue button on the bottom that has like a pen symbol on it, and you press that, which takes you to the spot where you create a new post. So it had moved and changed. Such is life. This is what we're living with now, and it seems chaotic and unstable, but it's actually giving us new opportunities. Potentially it's better, but for the last 3 minutes, it was definitely creating stress because I was sitting there thinking, oh my God, I can't actually get on and do my live at the time that I want to do my live. Anyway, here we are. What's today? It's the 19th or something, is it? 19th of April, 2023. I'm going to have a drink. I felt you should be pretty warned. I was going to drink. Anyway, here it is. This is Chat with Matt. Hopefully we're in the Bright Light Beings Facebook group. Half an hour or so to chat about what's going on. Hello, Sister Margaret, and happy birthday to you. Margaret has requested that we speak about new beginnings, which we will. As a preamble, we have new moon with a solar eclipse coming in. Let me get this right. It's now 9 a.m. This is happening at about 4:30-ish. Let's say 4 and 3 is 7 plus 24 makes 31. In about 31 hours time, we have the new moon in Aries, which Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So we got an awesome time for new beginnings. New moons in Aries are always good time. New moons in general are a good time for a new beginning. New moon in Aries, being the first sign in the zodiac, is extra special, new beginning. And with the solar eclipse coming, just intensifies all of that many, many times. So it's a very, very, very good time for new beginnings. Unfortunately, when we have very potent times for new beginnings, we also have very potent times for old endings, which tend to precede and it's not always linear, of course, and it's very rarely linear, but these old endings seem to come along with new beginnings, right? Because space has to be made for new things to come into our life. As we engage in new things, old things fall out of alignment or can no longer stay in our field because our energy field will no longer contain some of the things that we've been dragging with us from our past. So we tend to see preceding and accompanying new beginnings a lot of old endings, a lot of things falling away, and a lot of the time that feels really uncomfortable. And Julie Array has popped in. I'm just trying to get there now. Some requests around that. Why can't I actually even see those? Let's do a refresh on this page as well. Has put in a request around chaotic, things, and okay, no, hang on. Here we go. Detours in life detours and redirections generally, how to adjust when dream context changes, though already spent much investment in trying to create these dreams. Hey, Sister Julie Ray's here. So we've got a new moon coming up. We will be doing a call at that time. It is coming with the solar eclipse, as I said. I've put a post on notifying that, probably a little bit below this in the Bright Light Beings group, with an invitation to you all. I'll pop in. Well, there's some emails being sent. Don't think I'll put another post on. Maybe I will tomorrow, just before it happens. So new beginnings require us to go through these old endings. These old endings quite often are uncomfortable / painful, destabilizing, concerning, stressful, right? We love our little ego that thinks it's in control of the world and likes to try and keep us safe, loves the idea of predictability. I've talked a lot about this before. And in these times of chaotic and intense change, nothing seems stable, and that is very, very concerning for the little aspect of ourselves that likes to control how things are unfolding. And this then railroads us from staying true to the course of our dream, right? So these new beginnings require us to hold strong to, hey Sister Jill, hold strong to an intended outcome. Now, the issue that many of us have is we can't help but make these intended outcomes very situationally specific. Rather than just having our dream outcome, the sense of or the state of self that we're looking to achieve, right, e.g. happy, purposeful, content, healthy, etc., etc., we tend to ascribe what we think we need to have to that, to our dream outcome, e.g., in Jill's case, like a new house and have sold her old house, or in Julie Ray's case, having gone to a specific place in Mexico and set up an experience there, right? Or so and such forth, right? Where we tend to think that our dream outcome, our future outcome, our best future moving forward is situational. Even relying on other people, of course, pulling in our soulmate and then, dreaming what that would look like, who that would be, etc., can create a lot of limitations on what can actually unfold. So the point is to maintain our best outcome as a state of being rather than a specific outcome, right, in the external world. Because if we make it a specific outcome, we tend to resist anything that is not going what we feel in that direction, and we think that things are going wrong. We think that we failed. We think that the universe isn't giving us what we want because it's not giving us what we want, right? We think the universe is not giving us what we need, what our dream is, because we're not getting it the way we wanted it. Wanting being the highlighted word there. So I'm going to keep sort of intermingling the two main questions here, which is can we chat about new beginnings and answering Julie's question. So I'm going to read Julie's question just to bring it into a bit more specificity. However you say that when it's more specific. And then we'll dance around that. So it starts with ... which is always an interesting way to start a question. Inexplicit but strong life detours and redirections generally. How to adjust when dream context changes, though much investment in, e.g. planning to travel for specific timing and personal retreat delayed by context, then injury, then illness, and then messages of a cartel war while standing in the line to book a bus ticket to that location. How best to navigate dream changes when choice is urgently needed but still processing. And then Jill went, I won't read what Jill wrote just now, I'll go to that in a minute. And then Julie Ray added, when wacky life detours seem to offer a degree of protection but also cause significant complications. So, as I just alluded to, I think how to adjust when dream context changes. I think the easiest way to create ease in adjusting is to let go of the context that we're putting around our dream and really trust that the universal timing is working for us. And if delays are occurring, it's to be willing to run with that. I know it can be difficult because many of us who have a history of procrastinating and not making choice, right? Delaying choices because we are unsure, right? Then feel that if we knuckle down and make a clear choice, then the universe should reward us for that. And unfortunately, in my experience, that's not the case. Because I'm there with you. Trying to avoid mistakes, trying to get the best outcome by carefully making the choice, by considering the choice that I want to make, and then making it and trying to, quote unquote, trying to be confident in that choice, only to find that it sort of gets thrown back in my face and shown and given reason to really doubt that I have the capacity to make good choice, right? Quote unquote, good choice. The point is, the way forward is to let go of getting too contracted, right? Creating a contract around these choices, and even getting contracted around these dream outcomes, and thinking that we are going to progress towards our happy life by making the right choice in the right way, e.g. just being guided, this is the verbiage, being guided into the right choice and then making it with confidence. That, in my opinion, can be quite the trap. And rather than do that, I have found that a much better way forward is to continually reinforce my outcome, which is not situational anymore. My outcome is a state of being, that I am confident in myself, that I am happy in myself, that I feel purposeful in myself, that I'm giving the opportunities to serve others in all sorts of ways, that I am healthy and happy and functional. This is my dream outcome, right? This is what I am choosing and consistently reinforcing. This is my dream. That, just as it is, right? It's not about where in the world I am. It's not about the state of the house around me. It's not about the state of other people around me. It's about my experience of the world. That's my dream. That's what I keep reinforcing. And then I trust that the universe is giving me opportunities to do that. It still means that I can choose a short-term outcome that I'm desirous of and step towards it, right? Thinking, feeling, intuiting that this is going to serve me to step towards it, right? That might be traveling overseas, that might be finishing a building project here, that might be doing all sorts of things. It might be launching a new program online, all sorts of opportunities I have to exercise. But the point is, I have to keep coming back to this idea that these little exercises that I give myself, right, these little outcome-orientated dreams that I step towards are quite often going to fail. They're quite often going to fail. Or at least I could perceive them as failing from my little logical mind that likes to measure things in ways and measure productivity. Like, I was trained as an engineer, right? I'm very good at measuring productivity, and I'm very quick to recognize when I am wasting time or wasting resource, right? Because that's not what we do as engineers. We refine things to create efficiency in productivity versus consumption. Life's not like that. We're here to have experiences that lead to an evolution of our sense of self. And so these wasteful experiences are actually very potent growth opportunities. And when we can let go of being so critical of ourselves, then beautiful card for the week, Sister Susie got the card flexibility, or flexible, which is reminding us of letting go of the contraction around trying to create specific outcomes for ourselves, but rather to be willing to make choices to move towards things, right? Be willing to start a new building project, a new online career, a new whatever, relationship with someone, but also be willing to accept that the pathway forward may be quite turbulent and chaotic, as it keeps giving us opportunities to grow towards our much higher level outcome, which is to be basically confident in ourselves, happy in ourselves, content, right? Peaceful, connected, purposeful. So yes, exactly. Susie wrote, Jill said, maybe science background is why I struggle with this. Exactly. Science background. You know, I tell people I've had a very good education. It's taken me decades to overcome it. Right. A scientific mind is a blessing. It can be a blessing, but it can also be a curse, as is all things, right? An artistic education can also be a blessing or a curse. depending on whether you allow it to control you or whether you allow it to be utilized by you. This is the point. Can we expand out of our education's indoctrinations, use what is useful there, and expand out of what is limiting? Any education has both use and limitation. Any experience that you have in the world is useful and also limiting, right? The experience that yielded a great deal of trauma in our field also yielded a great deal of wisdom. So, right, they go. We generally don't have one without the other, although we can do. I don't want to say that all wisdom comes with trauma. That's not true either. But the point is do we allow that experience to be a traumatic one, or one that provides wisdom? Or do we recognize that there's both there and allow ourselves to obtain the wisdom and gently but surely relax out of the trauma over time? So Susie said, yes, keeping your true foundation, but will to move with the wind. Exactly. So the point is, we have to be willing to take risks. We have to be willing to make choice, even though we are not sure how it's going to unfold, and even though we may be relatively disillusioned that many of our choices haven't yielded the outcomes that our smaller self desires, right? The happy ever after outcome. So, yes, Jill said this is what business management speak calls blue sky thinking. Yeah, it's basically looking at the massive opportunities rather than the limitations that need to be overcome to get there, right? Look at the bigger outcome, the blue sky, the infinity, rather than the short-term pain that is likely to be caused by letting go of some of the very controlled and narrow pathways that are currently being used in a business, right? That are predictable and therefore forecastable and therefore in many ways comfortable. But if we want to disrupt, if we want to evolve, if we want to create new things, right? If we allow our human spirit to take us into new echelons of experience, then we have to be willing to take the risk, right? We have to be willing to get beyond what is comfortable, what is predictable, what has gone before us. And so coming back to Julie Ray's question about, how to adjust when dream context changes, it's to relax, right? How do we adjust? We relax into acceptance. Even though we've invested a lot in it, choosing not to allow these perceptions of investment to create a contraction that things have been wasted and that we made a mistake, right? This requires some discipline to avoid allowing ourselves to go down this old, well-worn track of self-critical thinking, right? Of making ourselves wrong for not achieving what we set out to achieve. And potentially over time, we let go of putting so much emphasis on the achievement. We step towards potentials with a more open mind, more curiosity, more willingness to allow it to evolve in whatever way it evolves. So we see an opportunity and we go, oh, that's interesting, let's try. Rather than getting caught up in, oh, wow, that looks great, let me make sure it's going to work. And then doing a whole heap of mental homework and potentially external homework, lining everything up, trying to get all of your ducks in the row, and then trying to achieve it, right? Because when you put all of that work into trying to make sure that you achieve an outcome because you think it's the right outcome that's going to lead you to living your dream life, it's destined to fail, generally, right? And the failure will feel significant to you, right? But if you're willing to just see it as an opportunity and step towards it and allow each step that you take in creating the foundation to achieving it to be a journey unto itself and to be beneficial just for taking that step, just for making that preparation, understanding that your destination could change at any time, but every step of preparation is actually preparing yourself for your more expansive outcome in yourself, which is available to you right now, which is the truth of it, right? This dream of being purposeful and happy and content and healthy and happy and functional with, and connected in community and relationship to God, source, universe, is available to us right now. Every step that we take towards opportunities to express that are opportunities to reinforce what we are choosing for ourselves in this moment of now. That choice for ourselves, that dream outcome, we bring into the now rather than project it forward into having to have achieved something external for it to happen. I know, right, when we think about being happy and healthy, and then you've got, a significant health crisis happening in your experience right now, you perceive that you need to cure or heal what is quote unquote wrong with you so that you can have your happy and healthy in the future. But if you but conversely, if you choose to align yourself with happiness and thus health, or a healthy state of being, despite the fact that your physical body might be carrying an injury or an illness or some form of discordance, then that injury, illness, or discordance becomes less influential. When you no longer allow it to rob you of the title of health and the title of happiness, because you are, quote unquote, suffering with an illness or suffering with an injury or suffering with some pain, right? When you start to choose to consciously be happy and healthy, despite the fact that you have this experience happening in your field, then that experience loses its influence over you and heals itself, basically because energetically you are no longer aligning with it. Energetically, you are no longer focusing on it. This is a hard thing to do, a very hard thing to do, because we've been trained very, very diligently here on this planet to look at problems with the idea that when we solve the problem, we can have the happy ending, right? And so we see an illness or an injury or some sort of discordance in our physicality or our mentality or our emotionality or our financial situation or our relationship situation or our housing situation, etc., right? We look at these problems as something that needs to be fixed so that we can have the happiness that's on the other side of it. And this keeps us focused on the problem. And when we are problem-centric, the problem seems big, right? It seems bigger than us because we're focused on it as a impediment to our happiness. This is one of the biggest conspiracies, I believe, that we've all been educated into, and it is difficult to expand out of, right? And so as we come back to Margaret's question, can we talk about new beginnings? I believe one of the biggest new beginnings that we're all making on this planet is to become outcome-centric. And I'll flip back around and remind you that when I talk about outcome-centric, I'm not specifically talking about external outcomes, but more the internal outcome, right? When we are devoted to maintaining our attention to our internal outcome, then, and as opposed to putting our attention on the problem that we think is holding us out of an external outcome that will then give us our internal outcome, right? Putting all of those steps in place for our internal outcome, fix a problem, then get an external outcome, then we can have our happiness, right? That is very, very hard to achieve and in general never works. So if we can skip straight to the end and have the internal outcome because we're choosing to focus on it, because we're choosing to make that what's important to us, because we're choosing to create a hierarchy or what is it when we priority, when we make that our priority, when we make that our desire, when we make that our what we're investing in consistently, choosing to be happy, choosing to feel purposeful, choosing to relax into feeling healthy within ourselves, even though we might have all sorts of discordances happening in our physical, mental, or emotional field. When we choose to relax into feeling abundant, even though we might have zero money in the bank or even be in debt, etc., etc. But when we choose to align with these vibrations and understand that this is not just being sort of toxically positive. This is not about burying your head in the sand and not doing anything about specifics that need attention, right? You still need to, if you've got no money, you need to work out how you can get at least some to pay the immediate bills or make some negotiations, etc., etc. But the point is not to allow yourself to become entirely focused on the problem, because what you focus on you feed, and what you feed will grow stronger, right? What we invest our energy in becomes our future. So the point is to find these balances, but for most of us, for just generally all of us, we would be well served, well benefited from investing more time in the internal outcome that we're choosing for ourselves, right? And making that choice for us right now, choosing to find ways to express our happiness, our appreciation, our purpose, our health now, right? Choosing ways to express that, even if that is a tenuous sort of pathway, right? It's hard to feel healthy if you've got pain in your knee that hurts you every time you take a step, right? Or something, right? But it is possible. This is the point. It is possible. And the more that we choose to be creative in how we contextualize our life in ways that feels happy and purposeful and content, relaxed, right? In a degree of trust that the universe is giving us everything that we need to progress towards this expression of self, right? Expressing ourselves from the vibration that we're choosing to align with. It does take time, and we have to be patient. It's not a matter of just, oh yeah, I've just written my journal and now everything's great. You will be tested, right? Because as you choose to align with these vibrations, you will instigate a purification process where all of the trauma and all of the pain and all of these negative belief systems that you've been holding on to will come up to challenge what you are now choosing, right? It's energy mechanics. These vibrations can't stay in your field, can't stay hidden in your field if you are not creating an alignment for them to stay there. If you've got years of negativity in your field, then when you start being more positively orientated in the world, right, seeing the world as an opportunity rather than a threat, all of those perceived threats and all of the reasons why they're threatening will come up to challenge you, and you have to breathe and relax your way through seeing that what you're now experiencing is what you are releasing, right? What you're experiencing is what you are releasing. Jill said, I've been aiming towards a house in Devon for 10 months now, and in the last days I've spotted another property that I think I'd fit into even better. It's smaller, but the location would enable me to do coastal walking direct from the front door and could visit beautiful coves and isolated beaches by bicycle too. I have had a burst of seeing myself in a totally different lifestyle. It would involve letting down the other parties who've been waiting with me all that time. But what to choose? Just choose to follow your heart, Jill. Just choose to follow your heart. That's it. You have to trust. You have to trust that whatever choice you make will be perfect. And in trying not to let someone down, you will always let them down energetically. So the point is to just go with what feels right and be willing to pivot. And at the same time, also recognize that as humans, we have a rather interesting habit of making the grass greener on the other side and opting out of things very quickly if we think there's an easier path. And sometimes we flip-flop around, right, choosing what the next shiny object rather than staying the course. So it's a matter of recognizing what's a true deep desire and what's an emotional influence. It is very easy for us to let go of a bigger dream to chase something else because we think something else is more easily achievable and will give us the hit of satisfaction. I'm not saying this is the case in your case. I'm just pointing out that, when I say follow your heart, it's not follow your emotions necessarily, right? And this is the difficult thing for many of us. And I know Julie Ray will cotton onto this and, wonder about, knowing what's a heart-led desire into trying something and what's created by all sorts of the fencing at the different place is painted green. I don't know what the significance of that is. Oh, the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. Yeah, that's a it's a farming it's a farming statement. The cattle always want to get to the other side of the fence because the grass looks greener, right? Margaret said, support for my son who has a bacterial infection, please. He and his wife fly home tomorrow. He saw a doctor and is on antibiotics as of yesterday. Yep. I would just trust that that is, definitely part of releasing the stress that he's under with the current situation unfolding. Multiple situations unfolding, but not belittling the fact that his wife is considering changing gender. That's pretty big energies to be coping with. So yes, definitely holding space for him, trusting that bacterial infections are basically helpful. You're not being attacked by bacteria. Bacteria is coming in to eat up the toxins in the body that have been created through the stress and various other influences, poisonings by the world, whether that be energetic or external, right, chemical. So, not that I'm making antibiotics wrong or that, but just recognizing that these quote-unquote infections are part of our purification event that is big right now. And there's, as I started this conversation, there's a huge opportunity now for massive big endings, preceding new beginnings. So Margaret said it's obvious she is on testosterone, obvious physically. Yeah. Anywho, I've probably done my time. Yes, I have, well and truly. So my friends, hopefully that conversation has helped. Apologies if it hasn't answered all of the questions as deeply as we might have. We just do what we do, right? My intention is to turn up and serve and deliver a conversation, or it's a monologue really, but it's kind of a conversation. I probably haven't read all of the stuff that scrolled through, so I apologize about that as well if you wrote something in and I didn't read it. I have trouble reading and speaking at the same time if anything's longer than a sentence. So my intent was to deliver something that was useful, and hopefully I've done that. Hopefully. I trust. Anyways, much love to you all. I will be back this time next week. It will be my last chat with Matt from this location for 4 months, as the preceding day, in 8 days' time, I'll be on a plane flying towards Thailand, and then on to Vietnam for a month, where we deliver 2 retreats, and then on to Croatia, on to Italy, Venice for a week, and then on to Croatia, where we will take you around looking for some venues for next year. Back through Thailand to Bali, where we will deliver another retreat in August, and back home for a little while before going over to Costa Rica via Ecuador, and we're going out to the Galapagos Islands, at least at this stage. That's our intent, to look for a retreat also for the future on the Galapagos Islands. That's my plans for the rest of the year, taking me through to December, when we will be home after delivering a retreat in Costa Rica in mid-November. There is still potentially space available there, although people have indicated that they're interested, but until deposits come in, nothing is set in stone. So if you're interested in coming with us to Costa Rica mid-November, you can check it out. If you don't know what I'm talking about, pop a comment on and I'll link you to the sales page of that, or at least the information page. It's not really a sales page because there's no buy now button, but then you can send us an email and say, ask any other questions, and if you're interested, then you can make a deposit. Anywho's, much love to you all. Yeah, and there'll be a call tomorrow in about 30 hours time. We'll be doing a call for this new moon solar eclipse in Aries, last degree, last few minutes, apparently the last 10 minutes of the degree of Aries, which again is an intensification. There's all sorts of other astrology that I've read about, but generally it's a very awesome time to make new beginnings and to relax through the chaos and to really find some confidence in yourself to hold your energy, your dream, right? You're not specifically to achieve all these external outcomes, but to hold true to what's important to you, despite the fact that the world is being very, very chaotic and unstable at the moment, and it's very hard to achieve anything. Like, I know I'm facing this with the potential for all of this travel and what could potentially happen in the world during the next 4 months. You drive yourself mad trying to cover all bases. So at the end of the day, you have to relax and trust that you have the capacity to cope with, to deal with whatever comes up when it comes up. That's it. That's what trust is, right? It's not trusting that everything goes well, because that would be foolish. And then you're going to be disappointed and feel that your trust was broken when things don't go what you perceive as well, right, through your mind. So what much better way to put your trust is in that you have the capacity to handle, deal with, cope with whatever arises as it arises, trusting that things arising is actually an opportunity for you to keep progressing yourself towards your most expansive expression of your divinity. That's it. So much love, whatever is unfolding in the world currently. We don't need to worry about it. We will be able to adjust, adapt and accommodate to it as it unfolds. Much love. Bye for now. Namaste.